Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at what the NPCs of Nazarick know about players and their creation, as well as where their loyalties and bonds of affection lie. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. And after examining in the first part what Platinum knows about players in general, and then in the second part, detailing what Ainz Ooal Gown could learn about Platinum in the battle with him, or rather with his stand-in, today we will delve into the typical third-part idea where I explore what all of the NPCs know and think about players and about their creators. And let's start with a rather surprising revelation in general. Sheltier Bloodfallen distinctly remembered what Pero Ronchino, her own creator, and Ainz Ooal Gown had discussed, even though she didn't fully grasp the context. Ainz Ooal Gown and Pero Ronchino talked about a certain computer game, rated for adults, and Pero Ronchino expressed how much he looked forward to a particular game, and then he lamented that his sister, a seiyuu, a Japanese voice actress, was involved in voicing one of the characters, which turned him off. And by the way, thanks to Overlord for depicting Pero Ronchino, despite all of his other interests, as someone who had no interest in seeing his own sister in this adult-focused context, which has become a rarity in anime. Now, during this conversation, Sheltier Bloodfallen retained the information that Buku Buku Shagama, one of the 41 guild members of Nazarick, whom Sheltier respects, had the profession of breathing life into other creatures with her own voice. It's almost cute to see how innocently Sheltier interprets this discussion, especially given her background as a creature made by Pero Ronchino. Sheltier also told all of this during the coach ride in the third novel to the other NPCs present. And especially Sebastian genuinely thanked Sheltier, and was very appreciative that this information about the Supreme Beings had been shared with him and the others. Now, moving on to the more general perspective. Every NPC is fundamentally loyal to their own creator and to the other guild members. Even a Claire, whose role in Nazarick involves attempting to seize control of the Great Tomb, remains essentially loyal to Ainz Ooal Gown, which of course brings us to the conflicting loyalties. And generally speaking, should there be a loyalty conflict, such as Pero Ronchino instructing Sheltier to fight against Buku Buku Shagama, another supreme being, Sheltier would indeed carry out the command, simply because, while she is loyal to all of the guild members of Nazarick in general, she would prioritize the orders and her loyalty to her own specific creator above all others. But if Pero Ronchino were to issue the same command to someone like Yuri Alpha, the Pleiades would not attack Buku Buku Shagama, simply because she does not wish to harm any other guild member, any other of the supreme beings, and therefore she and any other non-related NPC to Pero Ronchino would remain undecisive and not do anything. And we also witnessed this in the third volume of Overlord, when Pandor's actor transformed into the creator of Albedo and her sisters, namely Tabula Smaragdina. Albedo could recognize that it was not Tabula, as she was created by him, and all NPCs instinctively know and acknowledge who their true creator is, and to whom they truly owe loyalty. However, for Yuri Alpha and Shizu Delta, who were also in the treasury room with Ainz, this command to attack the fake Tabula was not something they could bring themselves to actually fulfill and do. It felt just wrong to attack another supreme being, because Yuri and Shizu could not recognize that the tabula in front of them was actually Pandora's actor in disguise. And all of this will certainly become relevant once again, as this is Overlord, and every detail in this world is important. But I also want to emphasize another aspect, namely that a character can have multiple influences from players. Shizu Delta, for instance, was not only created by Garnet, another guild member of Ainz Ooal Gown, but also by Tabula Smaragdina, who assisted in the creation of Shizu. And this led to the transfer of some knowledge and thoughts of Tabula Smaragdina to Shizu Delta. And just because of this, Shizu Delta now knows the passphrase set by Tabula Smaragdina for the innermost sanctum of the Treasury Vault, even though she was created by Garnet. In other words, Shizu Delta would likely be in a loyalty conflict if Garnet or Tabula commanded her to attack the other. However, the influence of players can also go in the complete opposite direction. Albert Elaine Odell created Demiurge because he was inspired by Ainz Ooal Gown's character build, an undead overlord and commander, instead of creating an NPC with a strong combat focus, like Sheltier Bloodfallen, who was created by the ever power-hungry Pero Roncino. Demiurge was made a brilliant strategist, planner, and commander, and not necessarily was he supposed to be a powerful melee fighter. And I've mentioned this before, but I will say it again. Shizu Delta's attack power is higher than that of Demiurge, even though Demiurge is at level 100, while Shizu is only at level 46. But since Demiurge was created by Albert, following Ainz Ooal Gown's example and admiring it, Albert's intention, the creation of some kind of tribute and homage to Ainz Ooal Gown, was also transferred, and that's why Demiurge sees Ainz as such a brilliant and wise overlord, and even wishes that he had been created by Ainz, simply because he represents a tribute to Ainz Ooal Gown's character build, which was designed for role-playing as an evil overlord, something Albert was, naturally, truly enthusiastic about. In other words, if Ainz were to command Demiurge to attack his own creator, he might actually do it. Oh, and ultimately, you might have noticed that there's a certain temporal conflict within all of this, as Sheltier Bloodfallen has memories of her very own existence at a time where she was just a bunch of data and pixels, not real flesh and blood existing in a new world. Similarly, Shizu Delta has inherited thoughts and knowledge from Tabula Smaragdina. So what's going on? Well, as I mentioned, in my opinion, the NPCs and players, along with world items and everything else, were brought into the new world and essentially materialized because the Dragon Emperor, Platinum's father, performed a powerful magical ritual. However, since the spell misfired, due to the Dragon Emperor not understanding what a video game is, and that the world item he wanted and coveted were just data and a bunch of pixels, and did not in fact exist in reality, the spell had a very different effect. Players were presumably all transported into the new world at the same time, precisely when the servers were shut down. However, they appear in the new world every 100 years. And therefore we can assume that the spell not only affected the 3 spatial dimensions that tells us where something is, but also the dimension of time, because this determines where at which point in time entities would be, and their movements and so on and so forth. The idea was to ensure that the world items would be present at a certain point in the new world, right after the old world was ending, presumably, because then the old world could not retaliate. That's why the shutdown of the servers, as the very exit point of the world-class items and the players, makes so much sense, because it was chosen, simply because after the world ended, it could not retaliate. But again, the spell went wrong, so instead players, items and NPCs appeared in waves every 100 years. And the spell also polluted, or rather enabled wild magic to be polluted by tier magic. So therefore the spell basically looped back in time and distorted it, and thus caused Shelty and the others to remember their past lives in the Grey Tomb, even though they hadn't lived back then. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, the NPCs don't understand that they were creations in a computer game, or what a computer game even is. That's why it was so challenging for them to comprehend why their creators abandoned them, and therefore they were also very grateful to Ainz, because he was the only guild member who stayed, and who had taken care of them. And during the events of the 6th volume, Demiurge was also genuinely worried about that should further incidents like this, and the one with Shelty occur, then Ainz Ooal Gown might still leave them. And with that said, now it's your turn. Do you agree with the video? Did I forgot something to mention? Then let me know down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkle Krieger, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Phil Walchivan, Guy with Dead Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Hoster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Love Razor, Mervek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.